On June 6, 1944, thousands of American infantrymen stepped off their landing craft and into history. They didn't arrive empty-handed. They didn't arrive unprepared. Each man carried far more than courage. He carried the weight of survival. Everything strapped to his body, every pouch, every weapon, every scrap of canvas and steel had one purpose: to keep him alive during the largest amphibious invasion ever attempted. This was not a symbolic march onto enemy soil. This was a calculated burden. In this video, we break down the complete D-Day infantry loadout of a USGI. Not a simplified list, not a reenactment, but the exact items a soldier carried as he stepped into freezing water, onto hostile beaches, and into one of the most chaotic moments of the Second World War. Among the weapons carried on D-Day, few were as personal as the M1911 .45 caliber pistol. Issued primarily to officers, non-commissioned officers, and assault troops, the M1911 was trusted when distances collapsed and chaos took over. Its heavy steel construction, proven reliability, and stopping power made it a lifesaver in close quarters, inside bunkers, trenches, and shattered buildings. When rifles jammed or ran dry, this pistol became the final argument. On D-Day, backup weapons were not optional. They were insurance. Folded map sections of the Normandy coastline were issued to infantrymen preparing for the invasion. Printed on thin, waterproofed paper, these fragile maps guided troops through beaches, hedgerows, and inland objectives. There was no GPS, no digital tracking, only ink, paper, and instinct. In the smoke, noise, and confusion of the landings, these maps often became the only link between a soldier and his mission. Lose the map, and you were lost in enemy territory. The M1 steel helmet, known simply as the steel pot, weighed just over 3 pounds. It was uncomfortable. It was hot, but it saved lives. Covered in netting, the helmet served more than protection. The net broke up sunlight reflection and allowed soldiers to weave local foliage into the helmet for camouflage. On the beaches of Normandy, the steel pot was often the only thing between a soldier's skull and flying shrapnel. The M1941 field jacket defined the early war American look. Lightweight and olive drab, it was functional but far from perfect. Many soldiers complained it offered little warmth and almost no waterproofing against the cold, wet European climate. Underneath, the M1937 wool shirt and matching wool trousers provided insulation. They were itchy, they were heavy, but wool retained warmth even when soaked by seawater and rain. On D-Day, comfort was irrelevant. Staying warm meant staying alive. Type 2 service shoes were ankle-high leather boots designed for long marches, not amphibious assaults. By 1944, many were roughed-out leather treated with dubbing to resist water, but nothing stopped the cold completely. Paired with M1938 canvas leggings, these boots kept stones, mud, and debris out. They worked, but they were slow to lace and frustrating under fire. Still, soldiers wore them. There were no alternatives. The M1 Garand rifle was the backbone of American infantry firepower. General George Patton famously called it the greatest battle implement ever devised. Its semi-automatic action gave U.S. soldiers a massive advantage over enemies armed with bolt-action rifles. 8 rounds fired as fast as the trigger could be pulled, until the clip ejected with its unmistakable metallic ping. On D-Day, that advantage often meant the difference between advancing and being pinned down. The M1923 cartridge belt formed the foundation of a soldier's fighting load. 10 heavy canvas pockets carried en-bloc clips of .30-06 ammunition, keeping the Garand fed during sustained combat. Every extra clip added weight, but running out of ammunition meant death. Balancing mobility and firepower was a constant calculation, made harder with every step through sand and surf. The M1928 haversack carried rations and personal gear in a complicated envelope of canvas. Packed incorrectly, it could spill its contents at the worst moment. For the invasion, soldiers were issued the M1926 inflatable flotation belt, known simply as the life belt. Inflated by CO2 cartridges, it was meant to keep soldiers afloat if they were thrown into deep water. Used incorrectly, it could flip a man face down and drown him. Even survival equipment carried risk. The M1942 rubberized assault gas mask bag was worn on the chest, protecting the mask from seawater during the landing. A gas detection brassard, chemically treated paper worn on the shoulder, changed color if it detected chemical agents. While gas was never used during D-Day, the fear was real. Every soldier training knowing the battlefield could turn toxic without warning. The M1910 T-handle entrenching tool allowed soldiers to dig foxholes under fire. Awkward to carry, but vital once artillery began falling. The M1910 aluminum canteen held 1/4 of water. Hydration was life. Paired with the canteen cup and felt-lined cover, they were able to cook, shave, drink, and survive. The M1942 first aid pouch carried the essentials: bandages, sulfa powder, and hope. K rations provided just enough calories to keep moving: meat tins, biscuits, coffee, and cigarettes. The D ration chocolate bar was reserved for emergencies. Dense, bitter, and nearly unbreakable, it was designed not to melt or taste good. The TL2-122 flashlight clipped to suspenders, providing hands-free light with colored lenses for signaling. Dog tags identified soldiers in life and in death. And wool socks, often overlooked, were critical protection against trench foot in the cold, wet fields of France. Every item added weight, every pound slowed movement, but each piece also carried a purpose. On the beaches of Normandy, survival depended not just on bravery, but on preparation. This was the complete loadout of a U.S. GI on D-Day, a burden of steel, canvas, and hope, carried into history.